My father landed, his chute caught on the side of a mountain, and it was dark and rainy, and so my father just hung there through the night. It was probably around midnight, so he hung there for around 8 hours. And then when he woke up, he thought that he was up in heaven with St. Peter because all he could see was fog down below him, and he was up in the mountains and didn't know where else he could be except with St. Peter. But then he recognized that he was caught on the cliff.
The raiders had arrived in a place where they didn't speak the language, without any food or equipment. They were being pursued by Japanese troops, but had no idea in what direction to go, or how they would travel 1,000 miles to safety.
The raiders were incredibly dependent on the locals for help. It's important to remember, most of these guys had never been outside of the country. A lot of them had never been outside their state. And so, here they were bailing out over rural China.
第一次看到身材高大的这个美国人，很多村民会吓一跳。我举个例子就是13号机组的领航员叫坎贝尔，他在鄱阳朗铺村的这个村口上的一个水井边，迎来了天亮。他水井边待了一个晚上。那么天亮的时候呢，有一个村民来挑水，走到村头一看到这个坎贝尔。吓得把那个水桶一扔大声的呼叫逃跑了，很害怕但是经过交流，他们知道是美国飞行员。
Tang Shenglu, now an engineering student at a well-known university, was visiting his future wife and her family in Japanese-occupied Shanghai. He needed to be smuggled through the Japanese lines so he could return to college in Western China. The people smugglers he hired had different plans for this English-speaking student.
They brought him to a place, and they pushed him to a room, and he saw a lot of people in there, including 5 Caucasian guys, completely muddy and dirty and scared and not understanding anything anybody was saying, and unshaven, and he was like, who are these people? And it turned out to be 5 American pilots who had just bombed Tokyo on April 18th, 1942, and had landed their plane nearby, and met up with some Chinese, but nobody could speak with each other because the Chinese couldn't speak English and the Americans definitely couldn't speak Chinese.
While some had written Chinese words in their notebooks, nothing could replace an actual interpreter.
Right away, he decided, not only am I going to help them translate at this moment, I think at that moment they were actually going to sit down and have a meal or something like that, but he said, China and America are allies in the war. We're all on the same side, so I should stay with these Americans and I should help them as much as I can.